party kick as U.S. Secretary of State calls Tinubu. The People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party on Wednesday expressed anger over the telephone conversation between the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken and President-elect Bola Tinubu. Blinken pledged stronger ties between the US and Nigeria during a 20-minute telephone call to Tinubu, who is still in France. The United States Department of State spokesperson Matthew Miller, in a statement, said Blinken spoke with the president-elect on Tuesday. The development came 24 hours after the Joe Biden administration announced the imposition of visa restrictions on Nigerians who allegedly disrupted the recently concluded elections. The US said the affected persons were involved in voter threats, results manipulation, physical violence, and other activities that undermined democracy. The identities of the culprits were, however, not made public. But dismayed by Blinken's communication with Tinubu, the People's Democratic Party Standard Bearer, Atiku, who is challenging the ex-Lagos State Governor's victory at the tribunal, said the Secretary of State's assurances of bilateral cooperation contradicted the position of the United States on the general election in Nigeria. Now the question is, does the United States of America know the people involved in election fracas? Do they know the people involved or the party involved in disrupting the just concluded election, especially the presidential election? And if they know, how did they get the information, and how will this affect the ties between the United States of America and our beloved country Nigeria? And why are they covering up if they really know the people involved? These are questions that need answers. The former vice president was referring, that is Atiku Abubakar, to a statement issued by the United States government on 2nd of March, in which it acknowledged the complaints and frustrations expressed by some Nigerians about the manner in which the presidential election was conducted and the shortcomings of the technical elements used in the poll. Also, the chief spokesman for Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Yunusa Tanko, said it was worrisome for Blinken to be discussing bilateral relations with Tinubu. Yeah, I can see why the PDP is aggrieved, and why will the US, through its spokesperson, be talking with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's still yet to be confirmed, though it's just it's a matter of time that will confirm the president-elect of Nigeria. Though they are not happy that though nothing can stop Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for being inaugurated on the 29th of May in this year 2023. The US supposed not to have a close and relation to be discussed presently with the awaiting president-elect. During the phone conversation, Blinken said he was committed to further strengthening the US-Nigeria partnership with the incoming administration of the president-elect. Miller said the two leaders discussed the importance of inclusive leadership that represents all Nigerians, continued comprehensive security cooperation, and reforms to support economic growth. The statements given by the Secretary noted that the US-Nigeria partnership is built on shared interests and strong people-to-people ties, and that those links should continue to strengthen under President-elect Tinubu's tenure. Secretary Blinken and President-elect Tinubu discussed the importance of inclusive leadership that represents all Nigerians, continued comprehensive security cooperation, and reforms to support economic growth. Also, a statement from the office of the president-elect signed by Tunde Rahman said Tinubu told Blinken that he will hit the ground running and unify the country on his assumption of office on May 29. He further pledged to work to ensure continued positive relations with the US, adding that its immediate priorities will be to deliver institutional reforms and development programs to deepen our democratic institutions and bring help to poor and vulnerable Nigerians. Grandma's statement read in part as Asiwaju Tinubu spoke during a telephone conversation with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, initiated by the US diplomat. The telephone discussion, which was frank and friendly, took place on Tuesday evening. The President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu said his immediate priorities will be to deliver institutional reforms and development programs to deepen our democratic institutions and bring help to poor and vulnerable Nigerians. He also expressed his determination to strengthen Nigeria's democracy and faithfully serve the people as their president. During the talks that lasted about 20 minutes, President-elect Tinubu recalled being granted asylum by the US when he was forced into exile during his struggle for the restoration of democracy in Nigeria, and while reaffirming his democratic bona fides, expressed his absolute belief that the result of the elections, which he clearly won, reflected the will of the Nigerian people. He further urged the US to factor in Nigeria's important place in Africa and provide needed assistance in the areas of security and economic investment in order for the nation to lead the way and be a shining example to the rest of the continent. Secretary Blinken assured that Nigeria should expect a good and mutually beneficial relationship with the United States. He promised to play his part in ensuring and sustaining a cordial relationship between the two nations, saying a democratic and peaceful Nigeria is important to the United States as it is to Africa. Both President-elect Tinubu and Secretary Blinken ended their discussion with pleasant greetings and a promise to keep the channels of dialogue and communication open whilst maintaining a strong relationship between the two nations, the statement added. But reacting to the US engagement with Tinubu on his verified Twitter handle at Atiku on Wednesday, the ex-vice president said it was in disbelief that the US top diplomats could give legitimacy to what they described as the sham election of February 25. He tweeted, "I am in disbelief that Secretary Antony Blinken called Tinubu a contradiction to the publicly stated position of the US on Nigeria's 2023 presidential election. This is inconceivable, considering that America, as a bastion of democracy, is well briefed on the sham election of February 25. To give legitimacy to the widely acknowledged fraudulent election in Nigeria can be demoralizing to citizens who have hedged their bets on democracy and the sanctity of the ballots."